Well, hello there, and happy International Women's Day. I have my helper today, Lulu, in case you guys hear her snorting away on my lap. We've been walking this caregiver journey together now for almost 12 weeks, getting you from that early noticing those changes to diagnosis, to some caregiving tasks, to duties that you might take on as a caregiver. But today, on International Women's Day, I specifically want to talk to you, the women who are caregivers. Not that our men counterparts are any different. We'll talk about you next week in your caregiving duties. But I want to talk to the women out there specifically today. So, first, let's jump into some stats. There are more than 11 million women who are either living with Alzheimer's themselves or caring for somebody who does have Alzheimer's. Two-thirds of the number of Americans living with Alzheimer's are women. That's pretty huge, considering that every, is it 5.4 seconds, somebody is diagnosed with a diagnosis of dementia or Alzheimer's. More than 60% of the caregivers caring for somebody with dementia are women, and over half of those caregivers are daughters caring for either one of their parents. 19% of women who care for somebody with Alzheimer's disease end up quitting work because of the burden of caregiving or because their caregiving duties have become too much. That's huge. Most women who are caregivers, if you're still working, the caregiving duties, responsibilities, and obligations, those can become burdensome. Those can become a lot. And we need to recognize the fact that all of the sacrifices that you've made to become a full-time caregiver. More than 3 in 5 of the unpaid dementia caregivers are typically women. And of that, women are 2.5 times, I think they say, more likely than men to be the person caring for somebody with dementia full time, meaning that you still are living with the person that you're caring for. So, with all of those stats in mind, with the thoughts that anybody actually caring for someone with dementia or Alzheimer's, that can be a huge burden, I'm going to share some tips about how to overcome caregiver burnout or how to avoid caregiver burnout. But today, on International Women's Day, I'm specifically tailoring these tips toward women. First and foremost, I need for you to prioritize self-care. You can never pour from an empty cup. How many times have you been doing something and you've been so exhausted or so tired that the task that you're trying to complete takes you twice as long just because you are burned out, you're over fatigued, you're tired, any of those things, too many tasks on your plate, wearing too many hats at one time. So I need you to take time for yourself. It might be a short break. It might be reading some pages in a book. It might be taking a bubble bath if you can squeeze one of those in. It might be taking care of your pet who's sitting on your lap and just giving them a good squeeze and loving on them a little bit. But some of those smaller things that you can do for yourself when you're caring for somebody with dementia, they all add up. So don't forget to care for yourself because you definitely can't pour from an empty cup. If it's getting to be too much and you need some help, don't be afraid to ask one of your family members or somebody in your neighborhood for some help. Seek support. A lot of people on the medical side in my medical practice say, my family members aren't willing to help me anymore. I can't get my sister, my brother, my cousin, whoever to help. So if that is your case, connecting with other caregivers online, join support groups. If you've got a local organization, join your local Alzheimer's Association. Those are great groups where you can find people just like you who are caring for people not just like yours, because when you've met one person with dementia, you've only met that one person, but other people who are caring for a person with dementia who has unique challenges just like your person, and the caregiving challenges that you have also. A lot of churches now are, because the numbers our statistics are going up, or dementia is becoming more prevalent, or people are talking about it more, a lot of churches are actually hosting support groups. So look at your local chambers of commerce, look at your churches, look for those support groups that might provide some assistance. Valley Area on Aging is another one. You can Google that. Those are some agencies that have help if you need it. And those online support groups, I'll drop the one that I admin on in the comments below. But sharing your experience as a caregiver can be immensely helpful for you to be able to vent to people who are in a similar situation, if venting is what you need. And if you're looking for help and guidance, it's also helpful for you to post an ask or a question inside of a live support group. Make sure that you're setting realistic goals. This is number 3. And to me, this is probably the second most important one. Setting realistic goals. If you wake up in the beginning of the day and you have 7 things set out that you need to get done, but your person is just having a horrible, awful day, well, you're not going to get to those 7 tasks, and you're going to set yourself up for failure. So setting realistic goals and understanding your limits, like, this is all I can do today. I'm going to move these other 4 tasks to tomorrow, or you may only get to one of those tasks. You have to be okay with that, because you're a caregiver who's caring for somebody whose days are never going to be consistent. So setting those realistic goals for yourself, knowing when it's okay to ask for help, and seeking professional assistance when needed. I forgot to mention, there are some other professional agencies out there, like home care agencies and hospice agencies, if your person's appropriate for hospice, that might be able to offer some in-home help as well. But realizing that, you need to prioritize these 3 things. And I only said 3 because I feel like these are the most important 3 when you're a caregiver to help you avoid a burnout situation. I'm sure that there are many more because your situation is unique to you. So if you're a caregiver and you have found some ways to avoid burnout, please drop those in the comments below so that we can all share those with people who might be experiencing caregiver challenges or need help navigating this difficult road when you're caring for somebody with dementia. Drop them below, share them out, #Dementia Care, #Laura FNP. And if you found these tips helpful and you want to stay updated on dementia care education and news, make sure to like this page. And together, let's create a community that supports and empowers one another in dementia caregiving. Have a great day, and we'll see you next week, where we'll be talking about you guys and the challenges that you may face as caregivers, or some of the unique caregiving demands that you have. I hope you have a great International Women's Day, and we'll talk to you all next week.